tonight. In an attempt to appease the radical base of the Republican Party to gain votes and curry favor, the racist governor of Florida, DeSantis, decided to fire the state's only black female state attorney. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. According to People magazine, Ron DeSantis suspends, I say fired, Florida's only black female state attorney in a radical move, and local sheriff mocks her. So they think this is funny. This political ploy in an attempt to gain leverage going into the 2024 presidential election. Well, how about this question proposed before I read this story? Just how do you think firing the state's only female black state attorney is going to look with black Democrats who are already fired up? And the miscalculation all you Republicans are making with the redistricting, trying to change laws and all the enactments of unjust, bigoted laws, you really think that black people are going to forget about all that you have been doing to them. And you think that we're going to forget about what happened with George Floyd. And you all think that we're going to forget about what you did to Barack Obama. You all have a big shock coming because all you're doing is mobilizing black empowerment. And we're going to turn out in unprecedented numbers in 2024. Believe that. Now, getting down to the essence of this story. Democrat Monique Worrell was elected in 2020 with 67% of the vote. But on Tuesday, DeSantis announced her suspension for what he claimed was, quote, neglect of duty, close quote. These people are always talking about how neglectful black people are. That's the same thing they said during slavery, where that black people were lazy, black people were dirty, black people were filthy, black people just want a free ride. Well, who do you think built America? It was free labor on the backs of slaves that empowered the economic prosperity of this nation. Never forget it. And we're not going to forget it, just like we're not going to forget the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots. We're not going to forget segregation. We're not going to forget Jim Crow. We're not going to forget how Emmett Till was brutally murdered. We're not forgetting anything. Ron DeSantis suspended another democratically elected Florida state attorney on Tuesday in an extreme move that critics are calling politically motivated. Darn right. Monique Worrell was Florida's only black female state attorney until DeSantis announced her suspension, firing, for what he claimed was neglect of duty. DeSantis, who is currently running for president in 2024 and lagging in the polls behind Donald Trump, criticized Worrell for being too lenient on criminals. He has specifically called out her failure to charge a teenager accused of shooting and killing a 9-year-old girl and 2 others in a gang-related incident in 2022. Worrell has said that witnesses in the case gave disjointed testimony and could not identify the suspect in a photo lineup, noting that the gunman was wearing a mask at the time of the incident. In announcing the suspension, DeSantis held a press conference where he was joined by 2 local white sheriffs, neither of which, CNN notes, serves a county that overlaps with Worrell's jurisdiction. At the press conference, one of those sheriffs turned the suspension into a meme, mocking Worrell by holding up a Photoshop sign showing her in a burning cartoon with a, quote, "This is fine," thought bubble above her head. And what the hell is this? So y'all think this bullshit is funny. Yeah, I said it. It's funny. So y'all think it's funny. You're going to lose, and you're going to lose big next year. At her own press conference, Worwell suggested she intended to fight the suspension, saying, quote, "I am a duly elected state attorney for the Ninth Judicial Circuit, and nothing by a weak dictator can change that." Close quote. All right, sister, and believe me, black people got your back. Critics have slammed the suspension as political, noting that Worwell served the liberal-leaning areas of Orange and Osceola counties and was elected to her role with 67% of the vote. Florida Democratic Party Chairwoman Nikki Fried called the suspension a political hit job. That's what it is, a political hit job. And everything is happening with this phone at one time here. Now listen to this. It gets even deeper. That Worwell will be replaced by Judge Andrew Bowman, who is reportedly a member of the Conservative Federalist Society and was not elected by voters to the position, has only added to that criticism. As Orlando Sentinel reporter Christopher Kahn noted on X, formerly known as Twitter, Bowman ranked last among Orange County criminal judges in the judicial qualifications poll by the Central Florida Association of Criminal Defense Attorneys, with respondents describing him as prosecution biased. That means that he will unceremoniously violate the constitutional rights of any black person, whether they are innocent or guilty. And believe me, they will come up with some stuff and they will frame people to justify the law and order campaign of a sacking campaign. Worwell is the second Democratic state attorney to be suspended under DeSantis, who last year also suspended Tampa's elected prosecutor, Andrew Warren. DeSantis' decision to remove Worwell comes as his 2024 presidential campaign faces numerous challenges, including low poll numbers, reports of wealthy donors pausing their contributions, and an overhaul of campaign staff. DeSantis has maintained his suspension of Worwell as a result of incompetence, claiming in the press release that her practices and policies have too often allowed violent criminals to escape the full consequences and President Donald Trump needs to face up to the music as well. Thereby endangering the innocent civilians of Orange and Osceola counties. Prosecutors have a duty to faithfully enforce the law, DeSantis said in a press conference Tuesday morning. One's political agenda cannot trump this solemn duty. DeSantis himself, however, has been accused of being guided by his own political agenda. The governor lost the public fight with Disney after the company openly opposed the so-called Don't Say Gay bill. You gay people better get together, and you better make sure this man doesn't become president. When Disney went public with criticism of the measure, DeSantis asked state lawmakers to consider ending a deal between the company and Florida that since 1967 has given it special privileges. After Disney appeared to outmaneuver the governor by quietly taking control of the district, that same month, DeSantis hosted a press conference in which he joked about building a private prison next to Disney World, suggesting opening a competing theme park near the property, and discussed the possibility of raising the company's taxes and imposing harsher restrictions on theme parks. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender. Never